Hi, and welcome to tonight's episode of the 260 Soccer Show, powered by Fort Wayne Footy. First and foremost, a big happy Mother's Day to all of our soccer moms out there. Tonight, we're going to have a special guest, Ken Harkenrider of Positive Coaching Alliance. I'm Todd Gilpin. Tonight, Paul Johnson is with me. Paul, how you doing?
Doing good. Happy Mother's Day to your family. You just kind of took it easy this weekend, a little bit of soccer yesterday, and I heard you were in the market for a new riding mower. Is that true?
I was.
You
I
were?
was.
Okay.
I
It's
did
not,
get one.
was that a Mother's Day gift maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. She loves her new riding lawnmower.
Good.
The old one made it 20 years and finally blew up on us. So,
Well, happy mowing from here on out. Yeah, good to be
yep,
here. Thanks, Todd.
yep. Our soccer mom Amanda has the night off, so it's you get the two of us tonight. Um, as we said, today is Mother's Day. I want to take a moment to celebrate all of the moms out there, especially our soccer moms. One of the beautiful things about soccer and about the sport is that teams truly become a family. Over the years, players don't just gain teammates, coaches, friends. They also gain extra parents, those that take you to and from games, and alongside of their own moms, many players end up with what we lovingly call our soccer moms. I know that's been true in my family. Throughout the years, my wife gained what two new daughters, Julia and Mimi, who she still considers family to this day. She even one year, and this was fantastic, received a Mother's Day card from Julia at the soccer field. Um, and that's when you truly know how deep some of those relationships have become. We've been to their weddings and births, seen them some have their own children. And that's the special thing about this game. That's what I really love is the connections that you make that don't end with the season. So tonight's episode is all about how to be that positive soccer mom, that positive soccer parent, and how to have the right support from the sidelines so that you can make a lasting impact on your young athletes. So before we get to our guest, a lot has been happening this week in Fort Wayne with soccer. A lot of fantastic things.
Yeah, Todd, thanks for that intro. You really put it in perspective, and I'm really excited to have Ken on here just a little bit to talk about that positivity. And my mom was a huge part of my, soccer youth growing up, driving me everywhere. And there's many other moms who we carpooled with, and I agree, it's a community you build over time. And my wife is super involved, obviously, in our kids and my daughter's soccer journey as well. So I just want to say thank you to them. But yeah, on to soccer news. We Fort Wayne FC, they're in town, they're around. It's the professional team, but there are also, connecting with the community, and a couple of teams that clubs that we know about have already been participating in those games. We've had teams walking out. Rangers to the very first home opener, which is awesome. I believe Sport Club was out there on Wednesday. Todd and I were on there Wednesday. We've had some what they're calling local heroes presented. Carlos Cruz, he's a director of Rangers. Sam Meyer, the head coach of the Blackhawk boys. They won state last year, so it's really cool how Fort Wayne FC is recognizing the local soccer contributors and the local soccer youth at their games just straight away. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. They've been very proactive and involved with the local soccer community. They've got what they call their community corner. Fort Wayne Sport Club was out there
Mhm.
Wednesday. I believe St. Joe was out there on Saturday. Um, they've held youth soccer meetings and events where they invite everybody out. How can you get involved? So it's great that the professional club has really been getting the youth of the city involved.
Yep, yep. And continuing around with local soccer and also giving back, there's the annual tournament that was held, Shoot for the Cure. at Fort Wayne United up at Hefner Field. That's their annual tournament that they use to raise money. I believe to date it's over $100,000 they've raised, and that goes to the Vera Bradley Foundation for Breast Cancer. So it's very topical for this time of year. With the Mother's Day weekend, I don't know if it always falls on Mother's Day, but that's cool. And the cool thing is that's just a plain out. That's just a tournament, right? We've talked about state cup, we talk about these showcases and stuff where there's stuff on the line, but this is a tournament where kids go out to play in a weekend just for the sake of having a tournament. So it's a fun event. I think it's one of two that they held. Puma Cup's the other one in the end of summer, but that was going on. Hopefully everyone had fun. I think the weather for the most part held out.
Yeah, I did see online they at least had one lightning delay on Saturday, but no, the tournaments those are always fun
Mhm.
to do. Speaking of tournaments, on the slightly older end, Das Frühling tournament was on Friday at Sport Club. That is an adult 6v6 tournament. If you've never been out to one, they are fantastic. It's anywhere from rec level adults to very competitive teams. You'll see players, former college players, former pros out there, um, kicking it around. 18 teams competed. And then, of course, afterwards, we talked about the relationships. Everybody goes in the clubhouse, has some brats, and has a good time.
Cool. What's the format? I know they've done like 6v6 in the past and full
It's
field. Is this?
it's 6v6, no
Okay.
goalies, kind of half a field, a 9v9 size field, uh, out there, and it coincides. That's the kickoff to the adult rec program
Oh,
at the
okay.
club. Uh, it was supposed to be held last Friday, but as the spring goes, Mother Nature had other plans, so it was delayed a week.
All right. Well, cool.
So
Well,
other big
that's a
news.
fun event. Yeah, yeah. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I think we saw a teaser come out for the men's local indoor team, Summit City Sentinels, who they're saying, "Hey, we're going to be rebranding, and name is to be announced soon." And there's a lot of imagery with fire or flames uh, in those posts. And this afternoon, they made that post. They, as we suspected, are going to be named the Fort Wayne Flames, which is a nod back to an indoor team from Fort Wayne back in the mid to late 80s. So I'm curious to see, what the kits are going to look like. Would they also they announced that they weren't going to be continuing in the Major League Indoor Soccer League, so we can only assume that maybe MASL or something like that uh, as well. So there's still more news to drop with regard to that team's future for this upcoming season. But right now, we do know the name will be the Flames.
Yep, I remember going to those matches back as a kid at the Coliseum, and I don't remember if it was before that or after that. The Indiana Kick.
Mm,
I know it was about that same time, but always a good time. Always a good time. So hopefully we'll have some more out of them here soon, and we know what's going to happen there. In other big news, 1927 SC had uh, their first league game, I should
mhm.
say. They did have their cup match, but their first league game, again playing in the Midwest Premier League, on Saturday. They hosted Grand Rapids at St. Francis. Fantastic showing from the guys. Won 3-0. A lot of player announcements. If you get a chance, hop on their social media. Too many to cover here tonight, uh, but some great talent from a lot of local colleges, and
Mhm.
just some local guys. Some have played in the early days of Fort Wayne FC. They've been around, so get a chance, get out and watch them play.
Yeah, we
Uh,
forgot to mention last weekend when we had Landon Wells on and Lucha. Landon's actually he had been announced as one of those players. So
yeah,
sorry we didn't plug that for Landon last, but he did play. And by the way, if you did not attend the game in person, it is now as of this evening uploaded on the 1927 um, YouTube page, so you can watch the replay of that game. Yeah.
yep, get out and
Yep.
watch that.
Yeah, so I think that's about it for the local soccer news stuff. And there's always so many topics we can expand on, but we wanted to touch on a good variety today before we got into it. And interviews coming up. But one of our ongoing segments to acknowledge our sponsor is our keys to the game.
Keys to the game.
All right, this keys to the game sponsor is segment is sponsored by Michelle Snyder of the Northeastern Group Realty. With 22 years of experience and a heart for helping, Michelle's got your real estate needs covered from kickoff to closing. Call or text her at 260-615-6289. So Michelle, thank you for sponsoring this segment. Get your logo up there. Um, this is just a fun opportunity to do a little educational piece, whatever it is. This week, with tryouts and stuff coming up, there's sometimes with tryouts and new teams and new seasons, format changes, and as your kid gets older, the field gets bigger, the ball might get bigger as well. So we want to talk about something that U.S. Soccer introduced. I believe it was around 2016-17 season. It's this thing called a format progression. Small-sided standard, I think, is what they called it. So I'm going to flash up on the screen what that really means. So if you have younger kids playing, if they're like U7, U8, they're playing on small fields, and these are size 3 ball, and they have short games that are 10 or 12-minute quarters. Some clubs do 4v4 with no goalie. I know a sport club and some other clubs who do 5v5 with a goalie, but the idea is still small-sided games. You do that for 2 years, U7, U8. Then after those 2 years, you hit U9, U10. We go to a 7v7 format. The ball gets bigger, size 4. We do two 25-minute halves. A couple exceptions to the normal rules is you can't head the ball. There's no punting, and there's a thing called a build-out line, which is very unique to any of the fields, in that it promotes building like from a goal kick or a goalie save. Gives the team with the ball the opportunity for a little less pressure for at least a few seconds to get the ball into play. So it also acts as an offside line as well. So offsides does get introduced at 7v7, but you can't be offside unless you're beyond the build-out line, kind of like the blue line in hockey in a way. Whereas as you get older, it's a midfield line is the offside line. After 2 years of the 7v7, go to 9v9. This is typically what we consider the first year of travel. 9v9, U11, U12. The ball stays size 4. The halves get a little bit longer. You still can't head. Do that for 2 years. And then U13 is when you get to the full 11v11 field. The ball is its maximum size, size 5. You can finally head the ball. And then as you get older, the only thing that's going to change with the age groups is the length of the games. And it's not until U17 where you hit those 45-minute halves, which is what colleges and professionals play. So the graphic on the right just kind of gives you an appreciation for how the fields go from a small 5v5 in the green, and then 7v7, which is like a quarter size of a field, 7v7. 9v9 is half the size of a full field, and then the black box on the outside is that eventual 11v11 full size field. So there's good reason behind it. Lots of touches on the ball. You can't really hide on the field, and you don't have to be as tactically. I know when I was growing up, I think we went straight to 11v11 on a big field. It might have been like U10, 11, or 12. It was crazy thinking back to how we did this. So I think this is a really good thing that they introduced about 10 years or so ago. Todd, do you have any follow-on thoughts with the
Just to
format?
answer Road Bike's question there, yes, do roster sizes increase as they go up? Yeah, in general, they will. You start adding players on the field, you're going to need a little bit bigger roster and a couple more subs. And then as you get older in the high school ages, you tend to need bigger rosters uh, because of proms and jobs and things like that that get in the way.
Yep.
I know uh, I've been given a hard time because I tend to keep rosters of 26, 27, and then come game day we've got 13. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
they
injuries, as the kids get older, they become more injury prone, unfortunately. Their bodies
yeah.
are maturing, and they've been using them for several years, and injuries tend to pop up more once you hit kind of that high school age.
Yeah, and they tend to be more severe injuries when they do happen that keep you out months instead of days or weeks.
Yeah.
But no, the short-sighted, in my opinion, we almost jump up too quick to 11v11. The longer you can stay short-sighted, the more touches, the more the feel you get for the game and the speed of the game and things like that. It's very much like using futsal as a development tool. Uh, the short-sighted games, the longer you can stay there, I think the better your long-term development will be. Um,
It was
so with
a
that,
great thing for the introduction. I think that was almost the same year that they switched the birth years, so they had
yes,
maybe a
it was.
win and a loss if you think about it that way. Now we're changing the birth years
Yes,
to this year.
I would agree.
So,
They got this one right. The age change when they did that, maybe not so much.
yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit on
Yep.
another episode. Deep dive into that. Right now, we're going to take a very brief break, a little bit earlier than normal. We want to get to our guest, Ken Harkenrider, here after the break.
The 260 Soccer Show is powered by Fort Wayne Footy, where Fort Wayne's soccer conversation lives. If you're enjoying the show, we've got one simple way you can help us keep this going, and that's to join the Footy Faithful over on Patreon at Fort Wayne Footy. Your support directly fuels everything that we do, from this show, the 260 Soccer Show, to Fort Wayne Footy on Monday nights, helping us bring you better stories, deeper coverage, and shining more of a spotlight on the players, coaches, clubs, and communities that make soccer thrive right here in Fort Wayne. We've got membership options for everyone, including a free option if you just want to check things out. Every dollar helps us celebrate the game and elevate the conversation around soccer at every level in our city. So if you believe in what we're doing, join the Footy Faithful today on Patreon at Fort Wayne Footy.
And there we have Mr. Ken Harkenrider. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Awesome. Good to see you guys.
Ken Harkenrider. I've known Ken for probably longer than I care to remember. He is an Indiana Soccer Hall of Fame member, was a longtime Canterbury athletic director, has coached throughout the city. He's currently a top soccer coach at Fort Wayne Sport Club. For those that don't know, I'm going to plug that program. It is an adaptive program for those with special needs. Fantastic program, free for those involved. Ken has been helping with that program for a few years now. And he is also part of the Positive Coaching Alliance, which coaching is in the name, but it's not just coaches. It's involves parents and athletes and everybody around the game and our young players. Ken, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe elaborate on what I had and what exactly is Positive Coaching Alliance.
Absolutely. First of all, appreciate you guys giving a little airtime to a fabulous topic, appropriately on Mother's Day evening. So hopefully through the next several minutes, the conversation can give folks some great information, some useful tools. But very briefly, I'm a soccer yahoo from Fort Wayne, local soccer guy for my entire life. Grew up playing CYO. You were laughing earlier about the field sizes and the roster sizes. Fifth grade, so roughly 10, playing 11 aside in the CYO league. A gentleman at the time played out at IPFW at the time, Dan Flanagan, introduced me to the Fort Wayne Sport Club, 1971. Only recently did the math. I noticed in your notes, Sport Club about to celebrate 100 years. 71 puts me 55 years associated, so over half the life of the Sport Club, which I'm afraid, I'm not sure how that math works out at age 35, but somehow it does. But anyway, yeah, I love these recent developments with Fort Wayne FC and how they're incorporating a lot of the soccer community and soccer organizations around Fort Wayne. It's awesome to see that all come to fruition after all these years. So I love it, love it, love it. And Todd, want to give kudos, your intro in how soccer becomes a family. And that's a great segue into Positive Coaching Alliance, because we believe really at the heart of all of this is giving every young person an opportunity to have a positive experience. And that includes with their teammates, with their coaches, with their families. And it really is about more than the trophies, right? They gain the relationships, they gain the lifelong friendships and family relationships that you mentioned in the introduction. So again, with that as a general introduction to Positive Coaching Alliance, we'll delve into some of the actual content and applicable, usable tools, things that folks can go out onto the pitch tomorrow and apply in their own situation to get better outcomes. So
yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't say I've been involved with Positive Coaching Alliance, but I've incorporated a lot of what you and others have been teaching into my coaching, into my philosophy around the game. So what advice do you have for parents, since this is Mother's Day, for their young athletes? How can they create a positive environment and positive experience around the game?
you know what? It is so vitally important. And I guess my first go at answering that very broad question would be, it starts with a mindset, and it's a mindset of remembering this whole experience is a journey, right? It's a process more so than a destination or an outcome. And so, if you're so set on, your child starting every game and playing the position they want to play and winning every game and winning every tournament, that's a real short-sighted goal. And I would encourage folks to have that broader mindset of how do we use this experience. And don't get me wrong, we're not suggesting in any way being anti-competition, right? And in fact, in the early years, FYI, Positive Coaching Alliance was founded in 1998, so a little over 25 years ago. But in those early years, because of the name Positive Coaching, there was a lot of that assumption that, oh, that's, kumbaya, everybody gets a trophy, everybody goes home happy every day. Not at all, right? It's about having that positive experience. And if you doubt that, I will share with you, for the entire length of existence of Positive Coaching Alliance, Phil Jackson has been the national spokesperson. So if not the winningest coach in the NBA, certainly one of the most competitive and successful coaches in the NBA. So it's all about the methodology. It's all about the process. It's all about, one of our other sort of catchphrases or mantras is better athletes, better people. So if you adopt the concepts and the practices that we suggest, which, by the way, have all been thoroughly researched by sports psychologists and shared by some of our other national advisory board members who have been very successful as athletes and coaches. But if you adopt those as part of your playing philosophy, you will get better performing athletes. They will be more successful on the field because you're going to do things like reduce the anxiety and the performance anxiety. You're going to reduce their focus on the mistakes they make. They're going to play with a little bit more of that reckless abandon of free spirit out on the field. But more importantly, and in the bigger picture, they're going to become better people because, there's so many things. I'll get into a few others in a couple of the other topics we're going to touch on tonight. But the idea that, these things will transcend their soccer playing days because those will come to an end, right? At some point. And hopefully your youngsters will want to become involved as referees or coaches or whatever they may do. But the playing will cease hopefully later rather than sooner. However, you start thinking about things like resilience, right? When things don't go your way in a game and you had a bad game or you let in the goal via a mistake as the goalkeeper, you own that and you come back tomorrow and you work on it and you try harder and you get back into the ring, right? And so resilience is something that we can apply elsewhere. Being a good teammate and supporting your teammates on the field, right? Learning how to deal with authority, whether it's your coaches or the referee on the field, right? That serves you well in your working capacity. So again, we're talking about these life lessons that are going to transcend the game of soccer. So back to your original question about parents is, if you go to the field with that mindset of how is this experience not only enjoyable and valuable today, but how is it going to, and how can I help to translate this experience into something that's going to help them later on?
Yeah, you mentioned some qualities there that'll help them in later in life, currently in life. I know for these younger kids, Matt, I work with Matt Hine quite a bit, and when we see kids kind of turn a corner, it's almost always, man, look how much confidence they
Yeah,
have out there, and it can
right?
come from many different ways, but usually that confidence gives them so much more to work with on the field, and that's where it starts. And another thing that I'm learning as my daughter's getting older is accountability.
Yep.
Right. You said, right. Can I, be on time? Can I get, my equipment all picked up? Or like I said, maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you own that and be accountable for it. But there's so many good qualities that come out of being an athlete that are just more than
Absolutely.
athletics.
And along those lines of accountability, right? Sometimes, again, classic case of parents sometimes misunderstanding what their role is, right? Oh, I need to help my daughter by packing her bag and carrying it to the game for her, right? Now they miss out, right? You cheat them of the opportunity to learn that accountability. Hey, you get to the game and don't have your shin guards, that's on you, right? Your mom's not playing the game. You're playing the game. It's on you, right? So again, you feel like you're trying to do the right thing to support your child by doing some things for them. On the other hand, in the bigger picture, and Paul, I will. You remind me of one of the little mantras I created years ago. You say, as your daughter is growing and getting older, this whole process, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? If we shoot our entire load of energy when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, right? Not only are we going to burn them out, we're going to be fried and burned out. So it's something I learned years ago doing U.S. soccer coaching courses. When you take all four elements and components of soccer, right? The technical, the tactical, the psychological, and the physical, you add them all in equally. Players mature, reach their full potential at age 27, right? And so I would always use that for young coaches of younger players to say, you're working with 10-year-olds. They're not even halfway through their journey to full potential. And if you chase them away because of your behavior, or you scare them away because you're behaving in such a way, and same can be true for parents, right? If you chase them away from the love of the game at age 10 or 12, right, they're nowhere near their full potential. So marathon, not a sprint. Great thing to remember.
That is so true. The love of we talked earlier about the 6v6 adult tournament. I mean, you've got 60 plus out there still playing, still loving the game. And it's fantastic. If they were, burnt out at age 12,
right,
they're not out there still playing, still being healthy, still being physical.
And let's give a shout out where he's due another Indiana Soccer Hall of Famer, Hans Dietrich, 88 years old, still out there knocking the ball around. I refereed a game with him 2 weeks ago. So God love him. And I'm 2 torn Achilles tendons and an ACL into the game. So I limp in both directions. So I don't play much.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you just brought up the legend, and out there, he still gets out, still plays, still absolutely knows what the score is every single game.
Every game. 4v4 with no goalies, he knows the score. Trust me.
Absolutely. And it's great to see him out there reffing too. You hit on something a little bit earlier, talking about if a player makes a mistake during the game or doesn't feel like they had a good game, maybe they, bad touch and they score an own goal or something, and they're just having a bad game, bad day. As parents, what can we do to help in that situation? Right? We want to do something. Our kids down. We don't like seeing them down. We don't like seeing them make mistakes. But what can we do?
Well, and you allude to part of the question is, first and foremost, don't try to protect them from that, because again, that's one of those misunderstandings. Hey, if my child doesn't experience that emotional trauma of failure, they're going to be better off for it because I'm protecting them from that pain. The opposite is true, right? And again, it's that mindset of, okay, don't take this in the wrong spirit. I'm not saying the game isn't important in the moment, but in the bigger picture, they're 10 or 12 or 14 years old playing a soccer game where the real life consequences of the outcome of that game are nowhere near as important as being able to teach this lesson. And so, have the conversation. First of all, a word about that conversation, make it open-ended, right? Have more prompts. Don't make the mistake. You mentioned I was a longtime high school athletic director, where the children famously enter the phase of their life where everything is monosyllabic, right? One syllable answers. Don't give them that opportunity. How was the game? Good. How you feeling? Fine. Right? Ask the open-ended question. Hey, I noticed you were a little frustrated. What caused you to have that frustration? I noticed, right, that attacker got around you and scored that goal. How would you play that different? What was going on in your mind? How would you play it differently? And help them to kind of debrief what went on, but also, focus on their effort. One of our really core researchers and national advisory and board members, Carol Dweck, hopefully folks are at least nominally familiar with her work, but her great recommendations, easy read. Her seminal work is called Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. And it really focuses on, she identified these two mindsets, a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset rests in this belief that we're successful due to our skill set or our talent, right? Versus a growth mindset where we believe that we are successful because of our hard work and our effort. And here's what I'm going to cut through years literally of research and give parents the absolute snippet that will change your life. And I guarantee it will change your life. Is at every opportunity you have to reinforce your child's success based on effort, right? You scored 3 goals today. That's awesome. Not because you're a great soccer player and you're really skilled. You scored 3 goals today because I saw you putting in extra time last week on your finishing, right? You really worked hard. I saw you staying after practice, hitting 15 extra balls every night. That's what led to your success. And what you're going to do is create an environment where they have a belief in lifelong learning, right? That their work, they create this belief that their time, their effort, their energy and focus over time will lead to their growth and their success. And I'm going to give you even a more generous helping of suggestion tonight. What I refer to as the 3 most powerful letters on the face of the earth, certainly in the English language. You ready? I'm going to give you the letters, and Todd and Paul, I want you to say them out loud what it means. All right, you ready? Y-E-T.
Yet,
right? Your player comes home and says, "Oh, Dad, I'm really frustrated. I can't shoot with my left foot.
yet,
We were working today at practice. I just can't do it."
yet.
Fill in the blank of whatever they say they can't do. And you say, you know what? You can't do it yet. But I'm so confident if you keep working at it and you listen to your coaches and your teammates and you don't give up, there will be a time that you will be able to do it, right? And that, again, creates that work ethic, creates that belief in the value of putting the effort into the endeavor. So
that's the positive. Yeah, absolutely. It's keeping it positive. So these conversations, Ken, when do we have those? I know sometimes directly after a game, whether it's a good game or bad. Good games are sometimes easy. If it's a
Yep.
rough game, there's that dreaded sometimes car ride home.
Ooh,
Is it
man.
or just let it sit, just let the moment breathe, and maybe it's not a good time to talk. So
Absolutely.
if you have some constructive criticism or even praise, when's the best
Absolutely.
time to
And I'll
bring
tell
that
you
up? Yeah.
what, I think maybe the first thing that I would share with parents in that situation is um, use their emotional timeline, right? As you say, Paul, for most of the kids, certainly as they get a little older, right? They get into middle school, high school ages, it's going to be internalized. It's going to be painful, especially if it was right in front of a crowd, right? So there's 100, 200 people watching this game, and I made a horrible mistake that we lost 2-1. My guy, I slipped. The guy got around me, scores the goal. We lose 2-1.
Mhm.
It's going to hurt. I saw some things. Is this a good time, or would you rather wait till later? Right. So now you kind of plant the seed that you have something. I have some ideas that I think we could be of value that you might find helpful. Is now a good time? And if they say no, respect that, right? Because it might be too soon. If they want to engage, again, use those open-ended prompts of, what do you think you might do differently? Well, how could you have handled that differently? Why? What were you thinking in that moment? And help them to kind of deconstruct the specifics of what actually happened. Again, I think probably good advice as much as we can remove or reduce the emotional piece of it, right? Because again, it is going to be painful, and focus a little bit more specifically on the tactics or the technical pieces of what broke down. And again, as an aside, and not to get too deeply into this, but most things, and again, as the kids get older and evolve, most things that happen during the course of a competitive soccer match are pretty high level multitasking situations, right? So if I am an attacker, I receive the ball, I have a breakaway, I miss the goal, right? So the final, and if as a parent, all I'm focused on, oh, you missed the goal, oh, what do you think? Right? And you go crazy. But think about all the things that you could positively reinforce. Love the way you received the ball. You had an eye toward going to goal. Your first touch was right at the attacker. You made a great move. You put your body between the ball and the defender on the way in. You took a quick look where the keeper was. The only thing that broke down in that whole execution was that final touch, and it went a little bit off the outside of your foot. But man, my money's on you. Next time you get another one just like that, it's going in the back of the net, right? But you received it well. You looked up. You had a great first touch. You attacked the defender. You protected the ball. You looked at the goal. I mean, you did 7, 8, 9 things correctly. Let's talk about those. And then if there's something we need to fix, we can fix it. But, again, so that's one of the things research shows, that when you're cheering for them or reinforcing their behaviors, truthful and specific praise, and nothing at all inherently wrong about good job. What's maybe not quite as right about that as we would want is it's not specific, right? Maybe they don't know what part of that was a good job. So be specific. Man, that was a great first touch. Way to look up and see where the keeper was, right? So be truthful and specific. They're going to see through it. If you're telling them it was good and they know it wasn't good, they're going to see through that. And you're going to make it worse rather than better, right? So
players do know when they make mistakes. We don't have to tell them. They know. Right. And if we can stay positive with that, right. You were telling us before the show a bit about staying positive and some research that was done about being positive.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say, and again, if folks want to make note and do a little additional resource checking, a lot of the Positive Coaching Alliance information on this comes from John Gottman, Dr. John Gottman, University of Washington, Gottman. John Gottman, they refer to him as the love doctor, right? He spent he's closing in on 50 years, the Gottman Institute, studying of all things long-term relationship. And what they have found is positive reinforcement, positive interactions with other human beings, and in this case, long-term partnerships, marriages, etc., that they find that to balance, so to have an equal balance ratio, it takes 5 positive reinforcements
Hmm.
to negate every single negative reinforcement. Now, the problem is, as human beings, and especially as adult human beings, even more specifically as parental adult human beings, we're wired to watch for what goes wrong and try and help fix it, right? That's our nature. And so, if indeed we're focused so much on the things that went wrong, and that's what the child keeps hearing, that's going to have negative reverberations, right? And so, what he suggests is, and by the way, this includes nonverbals. So making eye contact, lowering your voice, smiling, maybe a fist bump, right? All those things count as positive reinforcement. But you want to try over time to create an environment where you're doing that 5 times more often than making corrections and criticisms, right? Because that emotional baggage is going to, in fact, great anecdote. I was doing a PCA workshop not long ago. Little league coach working with 9-year-olds told this story. He said, the end of the season comes along and this dad approaches me and he says, "Gosh, coach, I just feel like you need to hear this. Talking with my son last night, again, 9 years old. Season's now over." And he says, "Yeah, how'd you like the season?" He says, "Oh, it was great, Dad, but I just don't think coach likes me." And the coach was absolutely floored. He said, "What do you mean? I love your son." He says, "Well, that's what I thought. I watch and it seems like, but so I asked him, I said, "What do you mean you don't think coach likes you? Why would you say that?" He said, "Well, Dad, this whole season, ready? This is a coach who, as I mentioned, as an adult human being, was watching for things that weren't going right, point out what went wrong and try to help fix it. That's what a coach does, right? Here's what the son said. "Gosh, Dad, the only time through this whole season coach ever talked to me is when I made a mistake." Right? That was not at all the intention of the coach to make the kid feel that way. But that's from the kid's point of view. Every time the coach paid any attention to me, it was when I made a mistake and something was going wrong. And so I don't say as coach or as parent, you never point anything out that's wrong. You want to try to do it in a context where it's a 5-to-1 ratio. It's a situation where you're really building their confidence. You're not lying to them. You're truthful. You're specific, finding the things that are correct. But then within that, maybe share some of the criticisms or the corrections.
That's great. That's great. And those are intentional actions that you can do. But also as parents, we lead by example. I know we want to be our kids' number one fan, but fan is short for fanatic, and sometimes fan has a positive connotation. Fanatic is not a great definition. And this, when you get irrational, sideline behavior comes to mind. There's a comment in our chat by Joseph Milovich. He says there was a fight between opposing team parents after one of our Shoot for the Cure games, and I was officiating today. So many things we can unpack there. But can you talk about sideline behavior and how we can be that parent instead of that parent?
Yeah. And unfortunately, boy, in fact, you know what, when I was very first introduced to Positive Coaching Alliance back in the early 2000s, it was right on the heels of, and you guys are both old enough to probably remember the infamous case out of Boston with the hockey parents, where it was, believe it or not, it was a U10 practice setting. They got in an argument outside the rink. It escalated to the point where they got fisticuffs, and the one guy ends up dead on the side of the hockey rink. 10-year-old practice setting. So that sort of populated a lot of the thought of how do we make this, how do we stop this nonsense and this madness of the behaviors on the sideline. I think, again, part of it is that bigger picture, right? Remember what we're really doing, and nobody's getting signed to a full college scholarship or an NFL or MLS professional contract at age 10. That's not happening. It's silly and foolish to think that, but a lot of people do drink that belief that that's going to happen. I think one of the things, if you find you are that parent, is what we call a self-control routine, right? So first and foremost, know thyself, understand what triggers your unhinged behaviors, if you will, right? If it's a referee's call, if it's a parent from the other team who's saying certain things, understand, first of all, what triggers you. And then what you want to do is create an interruption, right? Between your trigger of wanting to respond in a certain way and your actual reaction and response. So maybe that's close your eyes and count to 3. Maybe it's 3 deep breaths. I tell people all the time, I dare you to take 3 really deep inhaling breaths and hold it and still be angry, right? Our body naturally de-escalates when you take those deep breaths. For a long time, it was absolutely a trend that the sideline lollipop, right? If you find yourself about to say something stupid, put the lollipop in the mouth, right? Maybe it's turn and take 3 steps away from the field, regather your thoughts before you say or do something that you're going to regret. And trust me, you are going to regret it. And you know what? Maybe not for nothing. Should it become known that you did something, and again, this suggestion that the parents got in a fight on the sidelines, when your child finds out you did that, they will be the most embarrassed, humiliated person on earth. So think about that for a moment. You're not doing it because the referee asks you, or the coach asks you, or Todd, as the president of the sport club, asks you. That's not what you're doing. You're doing it because it's in the best interest of the development of your child, that you are a role model in positive behavior. So hopefully that gives a little bit of little bit of insight on that.
I watched a game right before my daughter's game this weekend, and the parents they were swearing at the ref. The ref should have thrown these individuals out. And a couple minutes later, the ref came over and said, "I'm going to send all of you to your cars, and we'll play this with empty sidelines."
Yeah.
Which in some worlds, like, that sounds kind of nice, but it's also sad that I think the parents then realize I can't watch my kid play if I'm in my car. And maybe that's a bit of a reset on the ref's part, but it's unfortunate that empty sidelines were possible.
Again, it's again that highly charged emotional sort of environment, right? And if we can somehow wrap our minds around behaving and controlling that emotion, it makes it a whole lot better. And I think most folks whose children have passed through their playing days, and I saw Skip Balkenbush name here in the chat box a little bit earlier. His kids are all grown. He's now watching grandkids, but you can go and watch with a lot less emotionally charged sort of mindset, can't you? Because you're not quite as directly invested, and you're not seeing the consequence in the same way when your children aren't the ones out there on the field. So
yeah, and I think you really hit it on the head when you said that how it affects your child. From the sideline. I've been fortunate to be able to coach for many now, and had a lot of different parents, a lot of different players, and I've had that parent that you don't want to be on the team. I've had plenty of that parent that we're talking about that we want to be, and to see how it affects their child. There was even one player one time, I could tell by how they played who drove them to the game.
Yep.
Was it mom? Was it dad? I could tell how they played, who drove them. I didn't have to see the sideline. I knew. And that's sad that a parent who thinks they're positively affecting their kid, or truly wants what's best for them, can affect them negatively. And that's why this is such good stuff. How can they become that parent that we want, and not that parent that
it's so powerful. It is so powerful. And I mean, again, our children look up to us. I tell parents this all the time as well, which is, there's so many things on our list of being a parent that are going to mandate that we have sort of a power dynamic with our kid, right? Get to bed on time, do your homework, clean your room, brush your teeth, all those things that we have to do to guide them toward adulthood. Why would we take something they love dearly in the game of soccer, that they willingly want to go out and spend their time and energy doing, and make it one more thing we're going to argue about? I mean, it's ludicrous when you think of it that way. And that's truly not, as Todd, you just said it, that's not what most parents want. That's not what any parent wants, is it? They want to be supportive. They want it, and it's just sometimes being kind of misunderstanding what that looks like or what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are heading into a very stressful time of year for a lot of parents, a lot of players. We're heading into tryout season coming up in another month or so.
Mhm.
With that, we also, this year have this new age cutoff. You and I have spoke a little bit about this. How can a parent navigate not only the tryout process, but also this age change?
Yeah.
I know you've talked to a lot of people, have some ideas on this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it really is. I don't want to underscore or discount how important this is to a lot of families because it is a challenge and it is emotionally charged because let's be honest, it's change and change is stressful even when it goes 100% in our favor, right? Let me maybe again take the broader 10,000-foot view of what we know as tryouts. Again, maybe put it in the context of how can we use that experience to mirror or reflect experiences that our child might have later on in life. And so how about this is think of a tryout for a roster at a travel club as the college application process that they're going to go through as juniors in high school, right? Think about those job applications that they're going to complete as they get out of college, right? And when I say that, what I mean is so often, right, everybody wants their child to get into Stanford, Harvard, oh my God, Ivy League. Wrong answer. It's not about the destination, the final destination. The process should lead us to what's the right fit, right? University of St. Francis for a lot of young people is an awesome opportunity that's just the right fit because it's close to home. They offer the programs you want. And I got into Stanford, but man, St. Francis was a way better fit for me, my personality, what I was looking for to accomplish in my life. So bring it back to the tryouts, right? It's not necessarily about making the absolute top team, right? I make the U18 top team when I'm 16. No, it's about finding the right fit, right? And maybe my skill set puts me in a different roster, but that's what's perfect for my development and evolution at the time. Okay, what about this age change thing, right? Oh, for the last 5 years, my son's been playing with the same group of friends and he knows them and he's comfortable with them. Well, guess what? The whole process of learning and developing as young adults is to experience something new, right? The old adage, make new friends, but keep the old, right? So now you have two rosters that you've been a part of. And there's no reason you can't still go and play pickup games or visit with your buddies at school who are playing on a different roster with a different coach. You still have those friends. Maybe in the summer, right? You play with those guys in different contexts. So don't be so pigeonholed that the only thing that's going to work this time is if I make this roster, because it might not be the right fit, because it might not challenge, right? The process by which our child maybe learns to make new friends, to right share the game with a new group of friends, with new adults, new coaches, right? Again, not to discount the emotional part, but there again, as a role model, you can help them to navigate that and say, you know what? I had to change. When I was a young person just out of school, I changed jobs 3 times. And every time I was really nervous and anxious when I did that. But man, it worked out really well for these reasons, right? So give them those life experiences that you've had as well. So hopefully, again, that's some information that they can use to maneuver through these difficult months ahead. But don't be afraid of it, right? Hit it head on, be a good role model, see how it fits in later in life and use that as your guide.
Absolutely. Some great information there.
Mhm.
To wrap up, can give us a little bit, if somebody wants more information on Positive Coaching Alliance or become more involved, how would they go about doing that? Where could they find some of that?
Awesome. You know what? It's so simple. Is just Google positivecoach.org. Unbelievable website. Literally thousands of resources. There are video clips from great coaches and great athletes that give tips. It's all cataloged, kind of like WebMD, right? It's all cataloged for you as a parent. Maybe it's first time playing travel ball. Maybe you're a parent coaching your own child. So it's all cataloged. You can get on that website. There are templates of letters. There are question and answer chat box, chat room sorts of give and take information. But it's unbelievable resources. I mentioned a couple of other folks. Carol Dweck, Mindset is a wonderful piece. Again, it's a little over 100 pages, very easy read. It'll change your life. John O'Sullivan, Changing the Game Project. I know Sky Eddy, who works with John, was at the Fort Wayne Sport Club a few years back. Very, very well received. Does a website as well as some written publications on soccer parenting specifically. So there are a lot of resources out there. But yeah, positivecoach.org is the website that they can use. Certainly track me down on the sideline. I mentioned that I'm refereeing. If I can still outrun Hans just a little bit, so you can track me down on the sidelines. But yeah, I appreciate you giving some airtime to this. It's been a wonderful gift to me to be able to be involved and share this information from all these sources. So hopefully it's of use to the folks listening tonight.
Yeah, no, some absolutely great information. I highly encourage everyone to check out Changing the Game Project with John O'Sullivan and Sky Eddy. Fantastic information, not only for sports, but for life in general. How to navigate that and create a positive environment around you and those that you have influence on. So Ken, appreciate it. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of time here this evening. And we really appreciate it.
See you on the sidelines, boys.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, guys, stick around. I know we're getting short on time here, but one of the hot topics these last couple of weeks has been covering middle school soccer. We had Hanzini on a couple of weeks ago talking about the CYO. We can't even mention the CYO. Someone might have called it the Fight Club Underground of middle school soccer. Maybe it was me. But okay, quick rundown here of what's going on. Some of these seasons have wrapped. Some are coming to an end. So starting with the NHMLC and the NE8, that's one of our larger conferences. They're still going on with league play. But I do want to thank, Hagen's Hooligans, Andrew Bigelow, Tony Messman, Chad Blair for feeding those scores to us. Like I said, we don't want to just run down scores, look at some trends and see what's going on just across the league in general. But on the girls' side of those leagues, Carroll girls continue to look strong. Leo girls looking strong. They actually just suffered their first loss this week. Woodside is looking very strong. They're undefeated so far this season. And it just so happens Carroll and Leo's lone losses came at the hands of Woodside. So those are successful teams with minimal losses, but there's also maybe like this balanced season that's going on where, if you win every game, maybe you're not being challenged, but if you win some, you lose some, maybe that's actually, pretty good development from that point of view. So who I'm saying has balanced seasons right now on the girls' side would be like DeKalb, Crestview, Summit, those types of schools. On the boys' side in those, Carroll and Leo, once again, they're undefeated. Looking really strong. Unfortunately, those two teams are not going to play each other. They're not in the same conference. They're not on each other's schedules. So that's too bad. DeKalb is also undefeated. Maple Creek is also looking strong as well. This conference, I think this will be their last week of league and what I'm going to call is like rivalry week, where these middle schools feed into local high schools. And usually oftentimes it's multiple middle schools feeding into a single high school. So we're going to have Carroll versus Maple Creek at Carroll High School. Remember, boys play first, girls play second on the same day. Woodside versus Summit at Homestead High School on the big turf field. DeKalb at Leo. And that's cool because those, I just mentioned, two undefeated teams on the boys' side. So they'll face off. Maybe we'll have an eventual undefeated season there for one of those teams. Moving on to playoffs. Those are just regular season. Moving on to playoffs. We had the MSAC or the MSAC. Thanks to Chris Bauer for keeping us posted on this. They had their first round of playoffs this past week. This coming week, they're going to have semis and finals coming up. On the boys' semifinals, we're going to see Northwood versus Memorial Park, Shawnee versus number 1 seeded Tolles. On the girls' side for semifinals, we're going to see Kikiyanga versus Tolles and Blackhawk versus number 1 seeded Jefferson. Those finals are going to be held Thursday at Southside. And now finally, we have had some finals. CYO, as Anzini said, it's fast and furious, and sure enough, they finished a week ahead of anyone else. So we do have some champions to announce. But thanks to Anzini, thanks to Tony Nguyen for keeping us posted on some of those scores. A couple of maybe powerhouses developing here on the girls' side. St. John. So we know CYO plays two age groups. They have a 5th and 6th team and a 7th and 8th. And St. John won both of those age group titles. The 5th 6 went to PKs over St. Vincent. 7/8 had a really tight 1-0 win over Queen of Angels, Precious Blood. That's a combined team of those two. So congratulations to both those St. John's girls teams. On the boys' side, we had something similar, but a different school, where St. Vincent won both of the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade titles. So on the 5th, 6th side, 4-1 over St. Charles. Sorry, Anzini. I know he helps out there. Hopefully that was exciting. He maybe helps on the girls' side. But in the 7th, 8th, they won 4-1 over St. Joe Brooklyn. So congratulations to the St. John's schools and St. Vincent on your successful seasons and Fast and Furious season with the championships there. So way to go, guys. And we'll fill you in next week on however those other teams progress.
Yes, absolutely. So congratulations to some of those champions, and good luck to everybody as they finish out their season strong for middle school. Next up, we have 2-6 overtime.
Oh yeah, you know what? We haven't played a little video here. Yeah,
Are you ready?
Yeah.
2-6 overtime.
Nice. All right, what do you got?
We're running, you got it. You got it. We're running a little bit over, but we just wanted last week that I know everybody was waiting patiently on, and that of course is the review of some of the food at Fort Wayne FC. Been to 2 games. I had to miss Saturday. We had Stifkins Fest at Fort Wayne Sport Club, which is the annual anniversary dinner, 99 years of the sport club celebrate. Next year, as we know, is 100 years. So I was there. I missed the game on Saturday, but the first game I had fries because the pretzel was frozen early on. That was the game. There was some issues getting going, but by the second half, pretzels were done. They were made, and I will say, much better than Grand Park. They were very good pretzels. Very good pretzels. I highly recommend. Game 2 on Wednesday, I had the Italian grinder. Unfortunately, no picture, but that also was wonderful. So I'm looking forward to some more samples at the stadium in the coming weeks. If there's something you've tried, let me know. Give me your recommendations. We know I love a good sandwich, a good slice of pizza, something.
You're willing to put in the work and the research. Yeah,
I am more than willing to put in that research and let you know what I think and where you need to go.
We need to give you a segment. Yeah, Fort Wayne Foodie, maybe the pretzel report we talked about. And then
there we go. I'm looking
yeah.
forward to high school season again and seeing what some of the high school concession stands have.
What did the Calb have again? The pork burger?
Pork burgers.
Yeah,
I've got
Bigelow recommended.
I've got to get up there. I don't get up to the Calb much. I've got to get up there and try that. And of course, back to Concordia for, in my opinion, the best pretzel with cheese in the city. But that's this fall. Paul, final thoughts. What do you got?
This is great conversation. Nice change of pace, and it's great to have Ken on talk about parenting, how we can be just that positive influence in our players' life and just our child's life. So thanks to Ken, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Ken, always fantastic to listen to him. Mother's Day, we had a game today. Girls gave out flowers after the game, got a picture with their moms. Good time. But definitely celebrate our soccer moms. Ken gave us some advice on how to be positive, how to be that soccer mom and not that soccer mom that so tomorrow night, Fort Wayne Footy. Have some player interviews. Heard some rumors of a couple. Not sure exactly who yet, but it will be a player that was highly influential in the past 2 games
Nice.
out at the Roo. That is tomorrow night, 9:00 time, same Footy channel. Join us.
Good night.